Testing new gear in the winter. Ooh, hope I don't freeze. What's going on? It's Samantha from Lone Crow Adventures, the channel where we talk about all things camping, hiking, and backpacking. Today I'm camping in northern Wisconsin in the winter to test out some new winter gear. I have a brand new hot tent, a brand new hot tent stove, and a brand new sleep system that we're gonna put to the test. It is cold. It's about 10 degrees today, and that wind is whipping, and the wind chill is about -3. So it's gonna be good conditions to put this winter gear to the test. Even over that berm over there, still way too windy. So I came over here, found a little sheltered area. I mean, we're having gusts up to 30 miles per hour, which is not exactly ideal for hot tenting. Look at this. Brand new, never even been used. Still has the tag on it, hot tent. So I don't know too much about this hot tent other than it's a canvas hot tent. It's called the Torino 2, and it's supposed to have a mesh insert in it, and this is actually a canvas teepee hot tent. So this is going to be an interesting thing to try out. This is not a light hot tent. This thing is 12.5 pounds. This is a heavy duty hot tent. But I'm hoping in these windy conditions that this canvas is going to pan out. So we'll get this puppy set up. We just got to shovel the space first. Whew. Listen to that wind. Whew. This is real fluffy snow. This is a hot tent I've actually had my eye on for a while. I think the buckle's ice frozen him. I think it's going to be a good hot tent. Obviously not for backpacking, it's too heavy. So we got a center pole. Ooh, nice mesh inner. Hey, this is nice. Now, the nice thing about canvas is that it's super tear resistant, and the weave, it's crazy because it's made out of cotton, but the weave is actually too tight for water molecules to fit through, which kind of is mind-boggling because if I was outside in a cotton t-shirt, I'd be soaking wet. But with this tent, it keeps the rain off. So I think I've got my stove jack oriented in a pretty good spot, because the wind is coming this direction and it's also blowing this direction. So I want to make sure that any sparks are taken away from the tent. Take some time to guide that out. I just tie loops. I don't know what these little things do. I don't care to learn. Now we're gonna get the hot tent stove. Tonight we'll be using the Deerfamy hot tent stove. It's gonna be really good, this tent tonight. It's gonna be, I imagine, a rather undelightful evening. Time to drag myself in here. So this is where I'm sleeping tonight. I think I'm gonna orient the stove this way. I don't know. I would like to sleep here, but I haven't been doing that yet. I might switch stuff around. We'll get everything set up and see. So this is a car, and it's pretty easy to set up. You just kind of down, da da da. Alright, this is just a closed cell foam pad. This is my sleeping pad. I got my pillow. This is the Therm-A-Rest Xtherm. This is, oh, I don't know, 9.6 R value, I think. This is a really warm sleeping pad. This is the winter one. And I got the square one because I don't like mummy shaped pads. I like to have a wide pad. If it weighs a couple extra ounces, so be it. Okay, let's see. So this over here. This is another new gear item, brand new package on. This is the Sea to Summit Fleece Reactor. I've had the Thermolite Reactor, and this is a thicker fleece one, so I'm thinking surely this has got to be better than the other one. The other one was great. I love it. This one's going to be even better. So I think it's great because, you know, if you're at the edge of your sleeping bag, you know, of the comfort limit on your sleeping bag, you want to add a little more, not have to buy a whole new winter sleeping bag. That's a great option. And this is the new sleeping bag that I have. I'm super excited about this one. This is the Big Agnes Lost Dog Zero, and this is a synthetic mummy sleeping bag because I wanted one that it wouldn't matter if it got wet. I'm always so worried with my down sleeping bags, not getting them wet. So I bought this one because I think for the price, honestly, it's the best synthetic mummy style sleeping bag that you can get. So I think between this and the Reactor, we should be good. This thing's brand new too. Just bought this too, so, you know, we'll get it going, you know, because I don't pay attention, right? I do things like whip out my sleeping bag in the snowbank. You know, probably most people wouldn't do that, but you know what? I do. That's why I want a synthetic bag in case it gets wet. Let's get this in there. Okay, so we'll put that in there. I'm going to go climb in there later. It's going to be like a little oven, keeping me warm. Oh, this is great. Okay, now I just got my pillow. There we go. I asked the warden, I said, you want to come over hot tent and take that tent's too small. Nope. I'm not climbing around on my knees. You know what? She's right, because my back hurts. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. Bed's all set up. Got a guy out that chimney and get it fired up. It's pretty windy tonight, and I don't want to deal with this flue pipe moving around. And it also increases the stability of the stove because the Deerfamy stove has kind of 4 little feet that pop out, but it's hard to kind of get that stable. So this actually really increases the overall stability. And you can hear the wind whipping. It's going to be cool tonight. That wind chill is about -3. It's really cold. So this is the Deerfamy stove. This window really got blackened the last time that I used it. So we'll see. It tends to keep the heat at the back of the stove. I haven't used it in a hot tent yet. That pipe started to glow red, so I went ahead and I just closed the damper. That's pretty great. It's been a while since I've sat around a tent stove. Put these boys on. Ooh la la. I'm gonna have some tea before bed. Please don't be froze shut. Nope. Okay. Almost. Cold water. I'm not going to be too hateful towards the stove. I mean, for $150, if you're just getting into hot tenting, this isn't a great stove. This is an okay stove. Okay stove. I mean, so far there hasn't been any major failures. I don't like that it doesn't have a damper on the pipe. It makes the heat difficult to regulate. But, I mean, other than that, it's keeping the tent nice and warm. I do like the drying racks. Don't like having wet gloves in the morning. Oh, you can hear that heat building up. Oh yeah, that's hot enough for me. Hot enough for a cup of tea. Pretty spot on. Now, I know there's a lot of interesting ways to try to stay warm when you're winter camping. And one of my favorite ways, even when I don't have a stove and I'm just cold camping, is to have a hot beverage, whether it's hot cocoa or a hot tea right before bed. There's just something about putting something warm in your belly and making sure that your hands are nice and warm that really helps to keep your core nice and warm so you can fall asleep. It's just homey, you know? This damper is obnoxious. There it goes. Jeez. One more load in there right before bed. I've got the stove dampered down, got my night gear on. I'm ready to go to sleep. Oh. It's cold! Ah! Jeez. Oh, I need to hurry up and get outside so I can take care of business so I can get back in here so I can get the fire started. Get this fired up. There's the cold morning. It's burning pretty good now. You can hear those pipes start to rattle now. They start ticking like that. That means the fire's getting hot. So this is the way I make coffee now. And I use this. Caribou coffee. This is the best coffee. It's whole bean coffee, but I've ground it up. Oh, we're just gonna pour some in there. Some people like to put the grounds in after. I like really strong coffee, so I actually put it in while it's boiling. Well, that was an oversight. The tea bag is frozen inside of the mug. So we'll just stick it over here on the drying rack. So this stuff is like a hiker's fuel. So I'm gonna put this in my coffee. This is Carnation Instant Breakfast. I mean, this is basically powdered poison, really. I mean, it's super processed and full of chemicals, but it does have some protein, minerals, vitamin D, and some calcium, according to the package. I'm doing what I call a dry breakfast this morning. So I've got, this is one of my protein supplements here, and got some oatmeal, and in this oatmeal, I'm gonna make a homemade. So it's a, you know, hiker's meal, but it's gonna be homemade. Homemade oatmeal. I've got some raisins to go in there. I've got some almonds to go in there. What else do I have? Oh, brown sugar. Packaged up some cinnamon. That's quite a bit. I don't know if I'll need that much, but wasn't sure. So got some cinnamon. Then I got some powdered creamer for my coffee, and if I need any in the oatmeal too, I'll put some in there. So that's what I mean by a dry hiker's breakfast, because I didn't want to have to worry about having any food items that would freeze, and I also didn't want to bring a ton of pots and pans and stuff with me on this trip to cook like meat, like sausage or bacon or something like that. So yeah, this is a little different for me for my hot temp breakfast, but this is what's going on. Now that's got to cook for about 5 minutes. Seems like the wind's starting to pick up again. I was really grateful that the wind did die down last night. It started kicking up this morning. It was still dark when the wind, you'd get these random gusts. One thing I can say about the King Camp canvas tent, canvas seems to be superior in the wind. It seems to block the wind more than polyester or nylon or something like that I've used in the past. So also seems to kind of hold in the heat a little better. So I like this tent. I hate to say it, it's a budget tent. I like it. Probably gonna use it again. hot. Oh, it's good. Let's give a review of this gear, or at least a usage opinion. The Deerfamy tent stove. It's an okay stove. It's a budget stove. I wish it had a flue damper, but it kept the tent warm. I was able to cook some stuff on it, and it didn't burn the tent down. So, I mean, there you go. For 150 bucks for an intro budget stove, if you're just thinking of getting into hot tent camping, the Deerfamy tent stove isn't a bad option, but honestly, I think there are better options out there in that price range, or maybe $50 or so more. You can get a little bit more features. The tent, I am really impressed with this tent. I think this is gonna be my new solo hot tent. I really like this tent. I've never used a canvas tent before, and in these windy conditions, I'm just really, really impressed with how well it contains the warmth. Even right now, like the stove's not running, I can touch it, it's not hot. I'm getting ready to tear down, and I've got the doors wide open, and it's still fairly warm in here. This is doing a great job of blocking the wind. You can see it's pretty windy. Let's talk about the sleep system. Sleep system was phenomenal. Not only was the Lost Dog Zero super, super comfortable, it actually felt kind of cozy, and it had a little bit of weight to it because it is a synthetic bag. So that little bit of weight, it kind of felt like somebody was giving you a hug. You know, it was just comforting to have just that little bit of weight around that blanket. Unlike, you know, when you sleep with a down sleeping bag, it's so like airy and fluffy. So I really like that. It did a really good job. I also used the, where is it? Oh, I think I shoved it in the bottom. The Sea to Summit Thermolite Fleece Reactor, and that was awesome. That thing was really nice because it was kind of cozy up against your face, and what I ended up doing with that is I just kind of pulled the Fleece Reactor up to about here, and then I went inside the hood of the mummy bag, and I mean, I was totally warm. I didn't sleep with a sweater or anything on. It was just a, you know, just a regular, you know, waffle shirt and pajama pants, and I was totally fine. So I definitely think that this gear could be pushed another 10, maybe 15 degrees and still be really, really comfortable. You probably could push it to 0 with the Fleece Reactor liner and be fairly comfortable. It would be a little bit chilly, but I think you'd make it through the night and you'd be fairly comfortable. So I was really impressed with this sleep system. And of course, we've got the Therm-A-Rest Xtherm. This is a super comfortable mat, and one of the reasons that I bought this square pad and the wider one, because I like a wider sleep pad, but you can see it fits on this cot just absolutely perfect. This is the Deerfamy camp cot, and I have used this a ton. In fact, my nephew's even slept on this cot when he's come over when he was a little kid. He's graduated to the big boy cot now. He's sleeping on the Coleman military style cot, but this is a great cot. I have a review video on this cot that I will link up at the end if you guys want to check it out. It's not lightweight, but it's super easy, portable if you're going ATV camping, or if you've got poke sled or some other way to transport it, even car camping. You know, it's not a backpacking cot. I don't think you should be backpacking with a cot. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. But all in all, this whole sleep system really knocked it out of the park. The tent knocked it out of the park. The stove, it was okay. You know what? It didn't fail. It didn't burn my food. It didn't burn my tent down. It did burn me. It burned my fingers. This little thing right here gets super, super hot. And in fact, I had these gloves, stupidly, that I tried to open it with. Well, that wasn't a good idea. I needed to use these ones over here. So I recommend you get yourself a nice, real thick pair of leather gloves, or some of these. These are a fire retardant glove. This is made by Winnerwell, and I will put a link in the description below. A lot of times you can get away with just bringing a right-handed glove or a left-handed glove if you're a lefty, because it's just nice to have something here. And then if you need to put some wood in there, you can just reach all the way in. If the back of your hand or something touches the edge of that stove, it's not a big deal. So I always like to bring some fireproof gloves with me. If you don't have these, really thick leather work gloves will work great. Don't use any kind of synthetic material, or else you're gonna end up with gloves like Samantha, and nobody wants that. The one thing about this stove, and I don't know what it is this. Do you see all this blackening here on the glass? Every time I burn this stove, the glass gets super, super, super black. And a lot of other tent stoves that I've used, when this glass blackens, when the stove gets really, really hot, it kind of self-cleans. It burns that kind of residue off. But because this stove doesn't have a pipe damper, it sucks all that heat up out the back of the stovepipe. So it doesn't have any way for you to kind of slow and regulate how much draw that flue pipe has, which means that all the heat is back here and it's being drawn up this way, which means that this glass is going to keep getting blackened because the front of the stove doesn't get hot enough. So this stove actually heats unevenly. I mean, it works fine to boil water. I put my coffee cup here, and you guys saw earlier I had another pot up here that I was making my breakfast on, and that worked fine. But if you're looking for a stove with that nice glass to be able to watch the fire, I mean, you guys saw the video of it last night. It's always looking streaky because I have to open this up, and then I have to take like a small little piece of wood, and I have to go like this, and I have to scrub this stuff off like this, and then it still looks streaky because it never actually burns off. And even if you clean this, it gets black again. So this is not really, you know, the ambient stove that you want. If you want a nice view glass, you're gonna wanna look at a different brand. And I'm gonna put links in the description below. For my favorite stoves, I use a Winnerwell Nomad. Now that is a premium stove. That is an expensive puppy, but it is worth every penny. Buy once, cry once. And the other stove that I really like, if you're looking for more of a lightweight option, is the Danchel Outdoors T3 titanium stove, and I will put links in the description for both of those stoves, and I'll also put links to the video reviews of both those stoves so that you guys can check it out if you want to. But I think we're ready to roll out. Thanks for watching. We got videos up on the end screen of some of the gear that's been used in this video, and we'll see you on those videos.